Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, we're back at it with the Trackman stuff. We've had sessions all over the country, so we've got some more data to look at.
Yeah, a lot of big-time arms, including 2020 draft guys and some of the premier players in the 21 and 22 classes.
Yeah, so let's take a look. The first guy that we're going to check out here is Trey Gibson out of the state of Virginia. He's a Liberty recruit. He was a guy that popped up in the fall, threw up some big velo numbers. And so he threw a session for our guy Jerry Shank in Virginia in that Tidewater region. And it was pretty good. He's averaging 92.5 with a fastball up to 94. Modest spin rate, but he's got that induced vertical break and that big-time horizontal break that we're talking about.
Yeah, that fastball is really running in on hands. I think he may be able to get even more sink in the future, but obviously a quick arm. He's run up to 94 in a bullpen in, I guess, the middle quarantine, or hopefully towards the end of quarantine. But it was definitely some impressive stuff in this bullpen.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, we're talking 16.10 inches average on the induced vertical break, so basically 14 and a half inches average on the horizontal break, which, I mean, we're talking about big time run for a right-hander there. So definitely.
Yeah, especially on the curveball too.
Yeah.
You saw a lot of movement on the curveball. You can really spin it up to close to 82 with that pitch. That's probably going to be his bread and butter going off the fastball. So looking forward to seeing him and potentially moving into the draft talk conversation with only 5 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely one to watch. But moving on down to Texas, a guy that we know can absolutely spin it, in the numbers, like you say, Shooter, are quantifying the eyes. Storm Hierholzer, TCU recruit. He was a Super 60 standout. He was averaging 93.5 with his fastball, above average spin rate on the fastball. But the thing with that pitch that stood out for me was the induced vertical break, nearly 20 inches on average with that. And also, like we're talking with Gibson, big time horizontal break, nearly 15 inches average on that.
Yeah, the boys buzzing down there in Texas. And talking with Phil Haig, I was following live with Trackman there. It's like, that ball is absolutely running. Is the catcher okay? Can he still feel his thumbs? And the thing that we like best about Heroes is his ability to spin it. He's running up there close to 2,800. Probably in the end, he'll get up to 3,000 with the RPMs on the breaking ball. He can really spin it, and it tunnels well off of that fastball. They're both moving in opposite directions. I think he's going to be creating a lot of helium now coming off this Trackman session for the MLB draft.
Yeah, he certainly will. And the thing with that breaking ball, too, he's taken the time in quarantine to work on a distinct difference between two breaking balls. He's really been known for that curveball, that power hammer that we've seen, but he's throwing a slider now, too, and there are distinct movement profiles to it. Slider being a little flatter, but with some snap at the end, and that curveball obviously has that power break. So definitely a big time.
Changeup's not too bad either. So
yeah, hashtag spin wins. So another Super 60 standout. We would go down to South Carolina with a South Carolina recruit, Magdi Alcado, throwing a bullpen session again, 91 to 95 in the bullpen, just like we saw up in Chicago. The spin rate on the fastball is is modest. It's average, but again, good induced vertical break and good horizontal break, showing us that it's not all about just that RPM on the spin.
Yeah, and then you add in his ability to get that extension that we saw, that perceived velocity considerably goes up, but 95 is 95 from the left side. And going into this draft year where high school guys didn't get all that much time to play, and regionally scouts are going to be looking for guys, Cotto having these metrics like this will certainly help him.
Yeah, it certainly will. Really interesting guy out of New York. We got Teddy McGraw, who was a Future Games guy a couple of years ago. He's a Wake Forest recruit. He's 11 months out from Tommy John surgery. And in any other year, this name would be the pop-up name. Guys would be rushing into New York, into upstate New York, Oneonta, trying to see him. He throws a bullpen, sitting 93, 94, touch 95, 2,200, 2,300 spin. Changeup had 12 to 15 inches of horizontal break. But the thing was that slider. It was 80 to 83, but he was kind of getting on the side of it. And Jared Carrier, our guy in New York, noticed that and said to him, he's like, hey, seems like you're a little bit on the side of that slider. Maybe, just make a slight adjustment, move up. I'm not kidding you. Very next pitch, 2,900 with a whammer.
Yeah, having that aptitude for spin, and we're going to talk about that a lot. And you see it with the Trackman. This guy has aptitude. He can make changes. He
Hmm.
still shows how he can spin the baseball. But coming off 11 months the day of that Tommy John surgery, hitting 95, it's free and easy. I think Wake Forest has a chance for a weekend arm to come right in.
Oh, no doubt. And that goes to show you that the power of technology. We're not saying that somebody in a bullpen session wouldn't have noticed that and, not made that adjustment for the slider, but literally it spits out the data and you can make the adjustment on the very next pitch. So
Hmm.
definitely very interesting stuff. But those are some 2020s. Let's look at some underclassmen now, some guys that we're going to have to keep an eye on, for future drafts. And we've got one out of the Pacific Northwest, their shooter in Malachi Knight.
Yeah, Oregon State recruit. He's coming off a great hoop season where he averaged 25 a game, was player of the year, 6'3", about 195, physical frame here. Obviously, an epicenter up there in the Seattle area. How many reps has he been able to get? But it was mid to upper 70s with the bat speed, which is, I mean, really professional average stuff. So he's got professional bat speed. The launch angle is very consistent, 15 to 20, a lot of line drive power. Ball's coming off the bat, 95 to 98. Now, I think he can change that launch angle a little bit to get more power, but in this session, he was just peppering the middle of the field, and by peppering it, it was screaming off the barrel. But you can't teach a lot of that raw power that he has, and just small adjustments off of this, I mean, that home run power will kick in.
Yeah, it certainly will. So, a guy that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing,
Hmm.
hopefully this summer or fall. If not, maybe I'll have to make another trip out there in the spring. But then moving on to the 2022 class down in the state of Texas, and it looks like we have a big-time power right-handed bat coming out of Jason Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Jason Jones might be my favorite hitter in the 22 class. He's already just a sophomore right now, but he's a professional hitter. And I mean, whatever rust he had shook off real quick in a live session as he hit this mammal home run in some live ABs. But it's just consistent hard contact, just peppering 350 and BP, up to 99 with the exit velocity. It's just a really, really good young bat. And at third base, he's already a high-profile prospect in Texas.
Yeah, that was a mammal bomb, and I love the reaction of his friend on the mound when he knew as soon as he
Who's
hit
also
it.
a good prospect too.
See ya. Yeah, we'll definitely be taking a look at him at some point. So there you have it. Some more look at some Trackman sessions. We'll definitely have more. We've got some big time guys lined up this week across the country, so we'll continue to dive into that. So be sure to stay tuned to PrepBaseballReport.com for more information. But as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.